strangest dreams.
I'm so normal about the captors being brothers. I'm so normal about that. Okay, I can't just make noises at you for as long as I want to. I should stop that while I still have the control to. I don't know what I mean by that. Yeah. That's every deception roll I've ever made in my life, though, I think. I'm unfortunately too honest, too earnest, too straightforward, all of the above, too genuine, that I never really learned how to lie good. And I'm pretty sure it shows. Oh, man. Okay, I gotta get it together. I'm just because I'm having a Blorbo moment doesn't mean that I can't get down to business when I gotta. And right now I gotta. Because we sure had us what they in the industry call a fun time last week. Fun and great and cool and great and totally normal and not alarmingly strange at all. And not emotionally agonizing either. Smiles in voice actor. This bottle of Powerade is supposedly 28 fluid ounces, It's already down to about a quarter. Oopies. Oopsie poopsie. Putting that away from me now. Yeah. Wander sent me a take of a snippet of 58 as well. Wander's good at it. Wander's good at it. I mean, I should hope so. They're the theater kid. But, like, they're good at it. You totally... Hey, Wander, ooh, you want to send that in Unda's server so bad. Ooh. Okay, I need to figure out what is a sitting position that won't break my body. And by break my body, I mean just my circulation, which just makes a thing happen that feels bad and is annoying. It doesn't actually break anything, I don't think. This sitting position is not going to be sustainable. I'm all over the place, like, this entire week, dude. Oh, man. I'm running on, like, half a brain and half just sheer autism, mostly captor-centric. It's a weird sort of state to be in. Sorry. Cold. I mean, I'm not like cold, but it's like one of my little shivers. Anyway. I think it's time we get to business. I've already screamed about the captors to you. And we've only been live 24 minutes. And honestly, what else is there to say for me to say to you aside from screaming about the captors? Like, what else goes on in my brain anymore? Nothing. That's what. Okay, that's not true. Sometimes I think about musical theater. But mostly it's just funny duality themed brothers up in here. Oh, okay. Now I've talked too long about it, and I'm going autism mode, and I'm, like, stimming on mic, which is, like, fine, except for the part where that you can hear it, and I'm about to do an audio thing. So that's a little bit inconvenient, perchance. Point is, let's get down. Let's get to it. I could keep rambling about them forever. I won't, and I mustn't, and I shan't, and I won't, and I know better than that. And I have self-control. These are my daily affirmations. I have so much self-control and willpower and ability to get things done even when I'm brain rotting. Especially when I'm brain rotting. If the brain rot happens to be adjacent to the thing I'm about to do, which it is! This is wonderful! So all of that to say, finally, that we're gonna dive right in. Welcome to the 60th installment of Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series. That's so many installments! We're almost there now! That's fucked up! It feels like just yesterday I was shitting my pants. Not really. I was losing my absolute goddamn everything. My brain, my mind, my sanity, my sleep a little bit. Don't worry about it. It was fine. It seems like I was just yesterday freaking out about the first stream and hoping it would go well. But also, it feels like I've been at this forever. Fucking, of course it would be both. I beat you to the joke, now you can't do it. Oh no. The passage of time. Not the passage of time. Anyway. It doesn't look like there's anyone new here. Actually, I'll verify that statement. Yeah, no, nobody new here. But if there was, I would say... If there was someone new, I would say, welcome. My name is Harper, but you can call me KK. My pronouns are they, it. If you were new in chat, if this was your first time here, I would be telling you to please read the rules, be chill, and have a good time. Because that's all we're really here for. I don't need to tell you that, because you're not new. But if there was someone new, that's what I would say. So just so we're clear on that. Now, what the fuck is happening? If you haven't been here for the past 59 streams, where you been? What are you doing here? Go to the VODs channel, I'll get to that. But, in short, Your Wish Destroyed My Planet by Unda is a 1 million word Homestuck fic that focuses on Dave's soul cat. We're coming up on 1.1, y'all. It's an AU set in a future where Earth and Alternia have been consumed by a mysterious force known as the Void, and humans and trolls have escaped on spaceships for their survival. As of now, it is currently unfinished, and we'll talk about what happens when we catch up. When we catch up. In this stream series, I aim to read the entire fic out loud by myself, because as you may have guessed by now, I am very autistic, and I will make it everyone else's problem. Or solution. Solution to what? I don't know! But I'm having a good time, and I hope you are too. Seems like you are, so I'm taking that as a good sign. Please take note of the tags on this fic. We're looking at them right now, and be aware that you may be in for the discussion of some sensitive topics. We are currently in sort of recovery / unpacking a very traumatic event. So there's gonna be some stuff for probably a while yet. So, take care. Take care, y'all. If you'd like to read back what I just said, you can type !fic about in chat. I never point this out, but I do have all of my chat commands on the screen, so you can see exactly how they're meant to be typed. !fic about. If you would like a link to the fic itself on AO3, if you would like to give it some kudos or comments or subscription, that's how you say that, or if you would like to send it to a friend, or an enemy, or a family member, that's what I did, and look at Wander now. I've made something happen to someone else's brain, and that is mostly my fault. I didn't write it, but I did spread it. I spread the good word that destroyed the planet. Maybe. !fic link is the thing that does that. !fic song is a brief explanation of a very special feature of these streams, which is the pre-recorded song sequences. This command sadly cannot tell you which song is currently happening, because if it were to do that, then I would have to update it every time that there was a sequence, and I have too much ADHD for that. I would not remember to do that. But the good news is that I'm kind of good at rote memorization. So, I can just kind of tell you what songs are in what chapters by number. So I know all the titles and everything. I'll take this opportunity to note that I did finally record the sequence for chapter 62, and I didn't even have to chop anything. I was quite certain that I would, but I didn't. And it's great. I'm really happy. Because I like that song. Anyway. If I smack my face, maybe it will remind me how to understand the words that I'm seeing with my eyeballs. That actually doesn't work. That's not a life hack or anything. I'm just dumb and illiterate. Okay, exclamation point fix, sorry, is just a couple of disclaimers / apologies, because could I have given this project a lot more polish than it got? Maybe. Was I going to do that? Not unless we all wanted it to take 100 million more years than it did, and I didn't feel like waiting that long. Other things that Fix Sorry does not apologize for, but I should, is, oopies, sometimes my internet goes out midstream. Or, not my internet goes out, but I completely drop connection. And sometimes it makes me yell, so I have to apologize both to people who are on the stream and to VOD heads for screaming in their ears about something that doesn't affect them. And then also, I should apologize for how much I rambled during pre-stream. I have a problem! Anyway, yeah. I'm one person who speaks one language and has none video editing capabilities. So, this project, in the form that it currently takes, is this way because if it were any other form, it would be hypothetical. And I didn't want that. And finally, you can use exclamation point VODs, 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 to get a link to my YouTube archive where I will be putting every Varchive? Wow, okay. Just inventing sounds, I see. My YouTube archive is where I will upload every VOD for this stream series, as well as anything I may stream in the future. Again, we'll talk about the future of my channel and this project when we catch up. With all of that out of the way. Oh yeah, VODs, I start uploading them pretty much right as soon as I'm done with stream, so it shouldn't take too long, and I finally figured it took me so long to realize I could just set a timer to remind myself to press publish, and it works! It works! If I'd have thought of that way sooner. But yeah, it's never an especially long wait for the archives, so don't you worry about that. And even if it was kind of a long wait, it's never more than a few hours, because there's Wander, and Wander will bother me. Because Wander pays more attention to the shit on my channel than I do. Like a lot more attention. Like, I hit publish and then I fucking walk away. Wander regularly rewatches my streams and can call out when I haven't updated a number in the description, like a chapter number. So, yeah. Which is, I should say, I'm glad that they do that. Because I'm also a perfectionist, I'm just illiterate. Anyway, point being. The point being. All hail the point being. That's what's up with VODs. It's never an especially long wait. So don't fucking worry about it. Yeah. What's there left to say? What's there left to say and do, except for... Ladies and gentle whatevers. Yes, I'm going to keep saying that. I made up that phrase, and I quite like it. Come one, come all to gaze upon the magnificent, the remarkable, me doing a stream of Your Words Destroyed My Planet. Chapter 60. Chapter 60? We're so close. Chapter 60. What? I'm gonna have that breakdown every stream now. I knew you were alive! I knew you were coming back! Solix shouts at you, near enough right in your face. That makes one of us. I didn't think I was gonna make it. But I heard you. I heard you singing. You laugh weakly. Solix starts going on about how he knew you were alive and everything, but then he grabs your arm. There's a flash of pain, and you're abruptly not in front of him anymore. Instead, you're right back with Vriska. You reflexively grab hold of her. You shouldn't have let her go. You weren't supposed to. The dark, the void, the lights. What? I followed you over here, stupid. It was kind of hard to hold on when we went through that, Vriska says next to you. Your hands tremble on her sleeves, maybe from your holding her so tight, or maybe from how long you were holding on to her. How long was that? Did we do that? You whisper, staring at the wall. There's a giant circular door cut into it. It's almost shut now, and there are still some ghosts pushing at it. This place is full of ghosts and of people. It's chaos, and it feels like everyone is staring at you. You're being watched, assessed, studied. Son? Your dad's voice makes you pivot on the spot, still clinging to Vriska's arm. It's okay. You're okay. You're home. Dad says softly, coming closer. There's 100,000 pairs of eyes staring at you. You can feel it, and you can't... I don't know what happened to you, but I'm here now. I'm here for you, he tells you. Dad comes into focus out of the chaos around you. He loves you, always has. He put you back together after everything. He's your dad. You throw yourself at him and shove your face in his shoulder so you don't have to see everyone staring at you. I've got you, Dad tells you, and picks you up to carry you like you're a little kid. You have a flash of panic about losing Vriska, of holding her hand as everything caves in around you, the void about to eat you. You can't lose her. She curses at you as you grab her. You might have got her hair there, but she negotiates herself free, so you're holding her hand instead. That's okay, as long as you've not lost her. Things go a little weird for a bit. You're not fully present. There's lots of voices, and you only get snippets. You hear Carcat speaking Spanish for some reason. It's odd enough to catch your attention, but you can't stay with it enough to make it out. Gamzee offers to carry you when Dad starts walking, but your dad firmly says that he can carry his own son, and Gamzee leaves it at that. It's Vriska's voice that makes you look up from Dad's shoulder, or rather, her name. You peek up ever so slightly to see Vriska following your dad with her hand in yours. She looks wildly uneasy, and that's probably from Matuna being right next to her. Vriska, Matuna says. Or said. That's what made you look up. Mituna, I couldn't leave you like that. It was at least partly my fault that you were there in the first place. I don't know if Mindfang made us take you, or... I don't think it matters. But I got you out, at least, Vriska says, somehow not apologizing. Yeah, you're not forgiven for that shit, but... Fuck, you were always better to me, or as good as you... And you got me out. Thanks for that, at least, Mituna manages to say. If it makes any difference, I can relate. Probably got what I deserved, Vriska says stiffly, and as before, you see her form shift to the agonizing tangle of biowires from the helm. Mituna hisses in horror and jerks back as Vriska fades to normal again. She made her pay, you mumble. Who? Mindfang made me pay for killing Mituna, or you made her pay for all of it? Vriska asks. Both, Mituna says, at the same time that you do. Wait, you're just a ghost, but can he understand me? Mituna asks, but you've kind of lost focus for this conversation now that you've seen the resolution happen. It was what she was so worried about, right? You rest your face back on your dad's shoulder again and sort of space out for a bit. You don't think you can really deal with much right now. Eventually, you're brought back to reality by the tone of Gamzee's voice. It is even and polite. It's the tone he uses about one infraction away from picking someone up by a limb and smacking their whole body against the nearest wall/floor/breakable item of furniture. It's very... I won't say it again. Like Nepeta said, we're going to go in there. Mr. Egbert is going to put Dave down. Equius is going to look at him, and no one else will be talking or going any fucking where at all. Shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down, Gamzee says, pleasantly, with a smile. You can hear the smile, but you can't see it. You're kind of glad about that, because you doubt it's a nice one. Your brain flicks to Spanish as Karkat starts talking, for some reason. We need to stay away and keep quiet so the doctor can check Dave out. I'd really recommend doing that. He's really not fucking around, Karkat says in Spanish. Why are there space clowns? No one told me there'd be space clowns, someone else says in Spanish. Just stay quiet and stay here, Karkat hisses back in Spanish. We good? Gamzee asks, in a tone that compels the word yes out of anyone hearing it. Yeah, he knows, Karkat confirms, back in Alternian. What about me? Vriska demands. That's up to Dave, I guess, Gamzee replies. Alright, I'm going to put you down now, Dad warns you, and you're grateful for it. Otherwise, the shift to sitting down on a lounge plank might have made you think you were falling. Oh, that was unpleasant, Dad says, his words fractured as you inadvertently pull Vriska through him. I didn't get a choice, Vriska argues. Movement grabs your attention, and your eyes snap to Equius. He walks closer and then kneels down on the floor about 5 or 6 feet away from you. He sets a decently sized case down next to him and smiles gently at you. It's a medical case. I'm going to stand just there, Dad says, and backs up enough to be out of the way. Everyone else is at a pretty good distance, and your father is just there. I'm sure you've been through a lot, but I want to make sure that you're looked after. I'd like to examine you as much as you're comfortable with, even if it's simply having a look at you, Equius tells you in a soft voice. You make a small squeak of terror, leaning back into the lounge plank as much as you can. All right, let's try yes or no things to start with, he suggests. Can you hear me enough to understand me? You nod. Excellent. Are you aware of any immediate physical injuries that would need incredibly urgent care? Are you unable to breathe, or are you bleeding? He goes on. You shake your head. Wonderful. Can you talk at all? He asks. Yeah, you manage. And you remember who I am? He checks, and you nod. He's just disoriented. It happens, Vriska huffs. She pulls her hand free of yours, but then drops onto the lounge plank right next to you with a moody sigh. There's a bubble of talk from behind you, but Gamzee growls and it cuts short.
All right, we're going to run by an early version of our rules with some modifications. Obviously, I won't do anything you don't agree to, and I will explain what is happening as I do anything. I'm going to assume that all of your older versions are back at their strongest, unless you tell me otherwise.
Equius explains.
I can do that, you manage to tell him. In addition, I won't touch you unless you allow it. I will be on my knees with my hands up here so that... Equius begins.
Wow, do you make that kind of offer to Hal, too? Comes out of your mouth with a weak laugh. Equius gives you a somewhat exasperated look. From across the other side of the room, there's a ripple of laughter and a loud teeth of outrage that sounds like it came from Hal.
I will take that sentence as a good sign of your mental well-being. And, for the record, if he asked me very nicely and bought me dinner, perhaps,
Equius says pleasantly, making you laugh and setting off a slightly strangled, "Oh my god!" from off in the distance, too.
If you're done, could you hold out your hands so I can see them? Your fingers looked a little bloodied earlier,
Equius says with a smile. Wait, are they? You hold your hands out in front of you, and then flat so that Equius can see them. You hadn't noticed, but they're pretty messed up. All of your fingernails are at least chipped, and a few are quite badly ripped at the edges, and it looks like they've bled. Again, I'm a former nail biter. That is painting a painful sensory picture. Oh, God. Nah, it was pretty bad, but I'm sure this is worse. You were clawing that panel out of the floor. Vriska answers the question you hadn't even asked yet.
They look very irritated, yes. Mr. Egbert, could you see if you can find a washcloth and bowl in one of the rooms with some soap, please?
Equius asks.
Unscented. Yes, I'll go look. Your dad nods. You look at him, and he nods, so he knows that you know that he's gone.
It's one thing for him to go when you watch him go and let him. It's another for you to not realize and then be alarmed at him suddenly going missing.
Thank you. Dave, could you give your fingertips a careful squeeze? I want to be sure that you've not fractured anything. I'd anticipate more swelling if that was the case, but I want to check, and I think you know enough to do it and would tolerate it better if you checked.
Equius instructs you. Leaning forward a little, resting your elbows on your knees as you do, you go through your fingers by carefully squeezing the tips of each one and avoiding your busted nails. You have enough medical training for this, at least.
Don't feel broken, you tell him. That's a relief. Now, your face looks a little rough. I can't see that the skin is broken, but if you could copy me so we can see if you're badly hurt. I'm going to move my hand now. Equius warns you.
He shifts one hand slowly to his face, touching the edge of his zygomatic bone by his hairline with his fingertips. Your hand is shaking as you copy him, as if he was a mirror. Your face is kind of tender where Mindfang hit you. You'd sort of forgotten about it, to be honest. It's not the first time you've had to just deal with injuries around your parents.
Your hand is shaking a lot. Is it very painful?
Equius asks, pausing and taking his hand away from his face, and prompting you to copy without thinking about it.
I've had worse, and the fingers hurt too. Maybe there's a hairline kind of fracture, but nothing... I'm okay. You tell him.
Your hand is still shaking a lot. You press it to your knee to stop it. Equius runs you through the standard checklist for a concussion, and when he gets to the end of it, your dad comes back with a large coffee mug of water and a cleaning cloth.
I found dish soap, Pine Fresh. Your dad smiles.
Oh, cool, you say as he sets it at your feet.
You should clean your fingers. Soap and water will do a lot,
Equius advises you, so you go to get started. What, did you people run out of antiseptic here? Vriska scoffs.
Stop talking, Equius grits out as you freeze up. You can't smell it. It's fine. You're good. It's soap. You're okay. You're cool. So cool. You clean your fingers with soap and water, but you do it more or less on autopilot. Do you have the little wipe things that have oil on them and make it not... You can't even say it. Equius knows what you mean, though. You've been through this before, though not for a long time. You kind of got over your whole thing about this particular problem. For a while, you could simply mentally check out and refuse to deal with it, but you're so overburdened by the weight of everything else that's happening right now that you can't. Besides, it's not a reminder of something horrible from years ago anymore. It's recent again. You hate this. You have every right to, and it's not your fault. Being re-traumatized by something is bound to cause problems, Equius says, and since he's not suddenly gained psychic powers, you're going to guess he's said some of that out loud. I'm going to open the case, Equius warns you, and then does that. You avert your eyes as he rummages through everything. You don't want to see needles and wires and... No. Do you want me to take that? Dad offers, gesturing to your now way grosser cleaning rag. You're kinda done with your fingers now. You nod and hand it back to him, grateful that all he does is smile and take it from you. Practical help and not fuss is appreciated right now. Here we are, Equius says. You look to see him holding up a few sealed packets of the little wipes. You consider what to do from here, but finally ask, Can you? I don't want to feel it. Of course, I'll move closer. Equius agrees. He shuffles right up to you, still on his knees in that awkward position. He's right. If he moved, you'd be well out of danger before he could get up. It helps. As it is, you stay put and clumsily undo the top part of your suit. You slip your shoulders out and pull your arms free. You nearly gag when the sleeve sticks to your arm a little, and you hastily pull them free and turn them both inside out as you do so. We're in no rush. Get your breath back, Equius says soothingly, making no other comment about you or how you look. Somewhere back there you hear Gamzee snap at people to stay silent. You appreciate it. Your arms are in kind of a bad way. There's obvious marks from your mom's sensors. There's still a couple that are stuck to you. Those are the ones that you put on. The ones that were just supposed to read, and you only slapped them on for a self-destructive show. The marks on your arms are from when Mom tried to persuade you to balance with things that weren't adhesive sensors, but rather electrodes to shock you. Equius doesn't comment. He peels the sticky sensors off, warning you each time he does. He chases each one with the wipes that you asked for. They're covered in an oily sort of substance. They dissolve whatever adhesive is on the sticky sensors. That way it doesn't make your skin tacky for days and perpetually remind you of why. Equius introduced them to you early on, and it seemed like such an obvious thing to do. Supposedly, it's standard when you use a lot of big sensors, but most people don't have the same thing about it that you do. For a while, Equius would remove anything adhesive like this, and after a while you weren't so bothered by it. The smell of this stuff is oily, but in a plant kind of way, like aloe or something. In the same way that antiseptic makes you mentally go right back to your mom's lab, this smell puts you firmly in Equius's care. I'm not sure if the shaking is a fear thing or if it's a nerve thing, you tell him, feeling a lot steadier now. Could you flex your hand open so you show me your palm, then curl in the other way? He asks. You do so, and note that the trembling gets worse at the far end of each flex. Not to infringe on captor territory here, but it's probably a little of both. A fear thing and a nerve thing, that is. I think it may be temporary, but I would need to scan you to be sure, he advises you. For a second you're back in the scanner in the ship, trapped there as Mom interrogates you. No scans, Equius states. You didn't even have to ask. Clearly he could tell from whatever reaction you showed just then. He leans back slowly to pick up a few more of the individual little adhesive-removing wipes, sealed up in their little packages. When he's done sitting back up again, he holds them up and speaks slowly and calmly. You probably still have some residue still on your chest. I'd like to examine your chest for injuries as well, if you'll let me. Would you be all right with that?" You nod, not quite able to voice the fear that he's going to put something cold and metal on you. You have the distinct feeling that you really can't take any kind of obviously sterile medical tech on your person at all right now. You pull your undershirt off with a wince. It sticks to you slightly, but your shirt as a whole is pretty crusty with mission sweat, not to mention wearing the thing for days on end and sleeping in it. There's so much grossness that it kind of cancels out. "A little bit bruised, but not bad at all. That's good. No secret broken ribs." Equius nods as he looks you over for bruising, but doesn't touch you yet. He tells you that he's going to start cleaning off the places where the sensors normally go, and you'd bet that he's also getting a feel for your breathing and how fast your heart is going. Fast is the answer to both of those. The whole time, Equius maintains a perfectly calm presence, explaining in a low and gentle voice what he's doing and what he's doing next, announcing every move before he makes it. In between all of that, he's reassuring you that you're okay and that you're safe, that you're doing incredibly well, that you're good. "I think I regret making that joke earlier," you say, after Equius tells you how well you're doing. "Yes, sometimes when you make regrettable jokes, then normal reassuring things that I say come off as lewd. It seems that your actions have consequences, Dave?" Equius tells you, clearly aiming for a serious tone, but you can see his cheeks dimple slightly as he fights off the amused smile trying to get onto his face. "Consequences, I hate those," you say with a weak smile. "Nothing worse than those. Well, Dave, you seem to be in remarkably good physical health for someone whose funeral I just attended, and although I would prefer to run more in-depth exams on you to be sure, I am confident that you are probably physically fine for the time being. I would be grateful if you could let me know if you would be able to tolerate any more tests in the near future, at your own pace, of course. We will be in quarantine here for a while, so I will be ready whenever you are. I can see that you're still a little pale and shaking, but I can also see that Nepeta has found some food and drink for you, so that should help with your blood sugar," Equius tells you, and slowly moves into a crouch rather than kneeling. "I ate at some point," you say. "That's good. If you don't feel well enough to answer any questions, you don't have to. You're my patient, and your well-being is my only concern here. Do you understand?" Equius asks, and you nod, too emotional to properly talk. Equius, your doctor and friend, stands up slowly and carefully. He keeps his hands in view and backs up to his kit, which he closes and puts clearly out of the way. With that done, he stands by your father's side and waits. You can tell that someone is coming because you're trained for that shit, but you can also see Equius and your dad looking that way. Even so, you still jump a little when Nepeta walks around the lounge plank with a dining chair in one hand and a full-size bottle of apple soda and a bag of salted grubcorn in the other.
"Here, you probably need some salt and some sugar in you,"
Nepeta says, and hands you the bag and the bottle. You take them on sheer autopilot. Nepeta sets her chair down, a safe distance from you. Actually, about the distance that Equius started at. She sits down and simply looks at you for a second. Her eyes are teary, and the smile on her face is a bit shaky with emotion.
"I can't tell you how happy I am to see you, but we need to know what happened, and I know everyone wants to know, and there are so many questions. I think it's best that we start with a mission report. You can tell me what happened, and then afterwards other people can ask questions. But if I have questions as we go, then I'll do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of yelling and interrupting, and we're not doing that. Everyone else is going to be quiet, yes?"
Nepeta says, and shoots a look at the others. "Mission report," you repeat. "Yeah, it's easier to think of it like that." Nepeta nods, and you unscrew the lid of the soda with a hiss, both from the soda and from you, because fuck, your fingers hurt. They didn't hurt so bad when you weren't aware of it. After a few shaky chugs of the apple soda, you put it down and open the packet of grubcorn, though you pick your least scratched-up fingers to retrieve the food inside.
Let's start from your return to the music hall. We have the feed from your eyes, but I know they don't catch everything you see.
Nepeta prompts you and shoots a look at Vriska. I was outside with Jake. I saw a thought stalls you. You look between Vriska and Nepeta. Nepeta is definitely looking at her, and Vriska is giving you a look like you're brain dead.
Finally caught on. Yes, she can see and hear me. They all can. This place is lousy with dead people. It was chaos out there.
Vriska sneers at you. I don't know what to do with that information, you say finally.
Continue the report then,
Nepeta suggests, as if this is all totally normal. You can do that. There's a routine to a report that's familiar, and you need that now. I saw Vriska. She was trying to warn me, but I didn't catch on in time, or maybe I never had a chance. I got knocked out. Mindfang woke me up when she got there. I don't know how long that was. You say, and gesture to the bruise on your face. She wanted to know where Solix was. She had Conil and Lonk under control, but not the Carapacians. Jake! You gasp, and Nepeta points to the side. You follow and see Jake in the group of your friends and family. He has a crutch under one arm and his weight off of his leg, but he's alive. You'd feared he might not be. I'm okay, Dave, really, Jake tells you, an interruption that Nepeta seems willing to allow.
Continue,
Nepeta reminds you, so you look back at her. You've got a job to do still. She made it clear that Mom was on their ship, that Bro had told her about Solix. Mindfang wasn't a balancer, so she couldn't see that I didn't have Bro anymore. She assumed he was still there. I told her Solix was back on the ship, tried to get her to look at my palm husk to prove it. I figured Karkat would have given me any updates about Solix, so if he was there or close enough, then she'd know. I tried to convince her to leave, said that we wouldn't chase her. Obviously we'd do something, but I still told her that. She said she wasn't going empty-handed. She'd get Solix another time. I think someone shot her, and then she knocked me out with her psionics. You continue, as plainly as you can.
That was the last we saw from you. We got a lot of dark feed from your eyes transmitting when you were unconscious, but eventually we lost the signal.
Nepeta confirms, as you drink a little more. I woke up on the ship, in a cell of some kind. It wasn't a cell with the other prisoners, so I think it was from pre-Mindfang Empire use. I can draw you a map if you want. I talked to Vriska. She confirmed that we were moving away from Skya, and the ship had no life pods or anything else like that. Escaping the ship wasn't an option from the intel she gave me. Then Mom showed up. You continue. You can feel yourself detaching from what you're saying. It's just a report. Don't think about it. She took me to her lab to interview me. I found out Mindfang had been making people modify the ship. She asked about my eyes. I told her how they work, because if I didn't, she was going to take them and take them apart for herself. Then I think I ate back at my cell. It wasn't locked, so I went to do some reconnaissance of the ship. They weren't thermoregulating large parts of it, and the whole place was filled with angry ghosts from Mom and Mindfang. I tried to talk to some, but it didn't work very well. I figured that stopping the ship would be my best option, so I went to the helm. You continue.
I told you the security was strong there now,
Vriska mutters. It was. I tried to find a way in, but I couldn't really get anywhere. Vriska told me that aside from me, Mom, and Mindfang, there were 4 balancers in captivity, and 1 helmsman who was basically brain dead. Enough to power the ship, but nothing going on inside. I checked the escape pods. There weren't any. The kitchens were locked down, so there wasn't a chance to arm myself. I thought about laundry to try to make a bomb, but the droids put up too much of a fight, and explosives aren't my strength. I decided that any bomb I could make likely wouldn't get through the helm and would probably just kill or maim me if I wasn't caught, and I probably would be caught. I knew Mindfang and Mom would be observing everything, so I rejected the idea. Pretty much everything was locked down, so I didn't have many options. You continue.
Sensible. You made the right choice.
Nepeta nods. I slept for a bit. Not long. Mom called me to her lab. She had me sing a song and not balance. Then she asked me to balance.
I told her about Bro being gone. She was going to find out anyway. She didn't believe me. Ghosts can't kill other ghosts. She knows that. She's the scientist, so she knows. Doesn't matter what actually happened. Same shit. She asked me to prove it. I tried. I couldn't balance. She sent me back. You explain. Vriska shifts uneasily at your side, and it makes you jump because at first you think she's slipping away from you, but no. She's uncomfortable. Right. You're at the point where Vriska was talking to you about whether you're right to kill your mom and Mindfang. You started the conversation, but she didn't take a hard murder is wrong stance. If anything, she took a you'll fuck it up and be tortured to shit for it by them and also hate yourself. She probably doesn't want you telling people that. You probably don't want to tell people how premeditated your murders were, the ones that you're apparently very good at. You begin again. I went back to the helm, to the floor above it, tried to get in through the panels that go down to it through maintenance, which is...
That explains your hands,
Nepeta concludes. Yeah, I actually got in, and then Mindfang... You snap your fingers. Ow! Near your head to imply the whole lights out thing. She was watching. I guess the attempt was amusing until it got somewhere. She brought me through a lot of security doors to the control room. I was trying to assess how it all worked so I could get back in.
She brought you to... That's insanely risky, even for someone who can put you out cold with a thought,
Nepeta says, raising her eyebrows. It was a stupid fucking move on Mindfang's part, for so many reasons. But you guess she paid for it in the end? I guess. She showed me what happens whenever they get near any ships. Her psionics take over any ship that comes close. If the Atuan had gotten to the ship, you wouldn't have shot the ship down if you thought I was alive, or she'd bet that. Any attempt at rescue would mean her controlling people, Solix getting helmed. It'd mean Karkat, Gamzee, Aradia stuck in cells being made to balance and being experimented on. Anyone on the ship she thought was a likely possible balancer ends up the same too. My whole family in her hands again. Atuan destroyed, all of the Carapacians dead. Anyone she couldn't use killed too. I'd be locked up and out cold whenever the ship came near anyone else, so I couldn't escape either. She was watching my every move and was happy to lock me up like the others. She said Mom had me where I was because I already knew how this worked. It's how I grew up. You say emotionlessly. If you found me, it'd be a disaster. If I managed to break through all that security to get a distress signal out, it'd be the same. You continue.
Once you're on the ship,
Vriska trails off and shrugs. It's how it was for her, too. Mom showed up. She wanted me to try to balance again. I told her I couldn't. She wanted proof. I could just be not doing it on purpose. You can sing and not balance. So you gesture to your arm vaguely, your hand still shaking as you do it.
She told you she'd stop if you did it, even though you can't balance.
Nepeta finishes for you. It was going to be like that. Best case, none of you found me, and they didn't come near the ship again, and I got to spend the rest of my life like that. Worst case. You shrug. You've already covered that.
You asked me to ask the other ghosts if they knew that song. How did you know they would?
Vriska asks, finally. Sailors know shanties. It's a pretty famous one. Avoiding it was a pain on other ships, so odds were good. You say simply.
We found the ship. Iron Chain caught you on the other end of their solar system. Then, out of nowhere, there was a surge in the void,
Nepeta states. Yeah, well, me and a bunch of dead balancers, a whole load of innocent but angry ghosts. The place was already bitter as shit about the past. My whole motif is revenge-themed anyway, plus I'm dark. I wasn't gonna let those two ruin anyone else's lives. When she jumped the ship, it killed the 4 balancers, so it was one agonized, brain-dead helmsman's body, me, and those 2. I wasn't letting anyone else be a lab rat or a battery, and no ghost on that ship deserved to be stuck there watching that until they dissolved. So I called the Void and fed them to it. The ghosts killed Mindfang themselves. The Void didn't even get her, but Mom... You're shaking.
Is it the nerve damage or the lifelong rage at this whole fucked up situation? Maybe both!
The ship got ripped apart. It was me and Dave with the doctor at the end. Then it dragged her in, too.
Vriska fills in for you. Then it was dark. We were in this bubble of something. I don't know. Some part in the void. Maybe it was too busy chewing over Mom, its biggest fan, to get to us right away. But then I heard this bark. I heard Laika. You say, and across the room, you hear that same bark again. You look around the lounge plank, past Vriska, and see Beck standing by Jade's side. His tail is wagging eagerly as he looks at you. You make eye contact, and he eagerly trots over, his white tail swishing behind him like an enthusiastic white fluffy flag. Pause, you tell him, patting your knees. Beck stands up on his back legs, putting his front paws delicately on your knees. He looks you right in the eyes with that incredibly intelligent expression that he's always had. Beck, you say carefully, lay down. Beck leans back and then pulls his paws off of your knees to lay down. For a moment, just a moment, there's an after-image of smaller white paws on your knees. Smaller paws connecting to thinner, shorter legs and a smaller body. There's a smaller canine face that's gentle and friendly, and whose eyes are filled with stars. But after that fleeting moment, you can only see Beck. You hear the balancers react. You see Vriska jerk back, but no one else does. Nepeta doesn't seem to notice anything amiss, although she catches that she missed something just then. I heard Laika barking for me. I was holding on to Vriska because I didn't want to lose her. Neither of us deserved to go out alone in the void. I'd had a dream about Laika before, of trying to follow her through space, and I had literally nothing to lose, so we tried. We tried to move through the darkness, and eventually we found this... I think it might have been the ship. This ship. It felt huge, but every time I tried to grab hold of it, I'd lose it. That probably fucked up my fingernails, too. You add, glancing down at your hands. Then I heard the song. I heard Gamzee leading, and then everyone. You say softly, and look at him. We promised, Gamzee says simply. You had, years ago, when you were both on some awful mission in the fucking rain, and you'd both been morbid as shit. You'd both been trying to wrench your dreams away from each other, and that whole trip, GHB and Bro had a rare ceasefire to torment you both instead. Often in funerals, you'd have the most senior opposing balancer lead the song, but you and Gamzee had sworn you'd do each other's. As much as you're not friends, you unfortunately get each other. The ghosts were all singing it too. There were so many ghosts there. Other balancers, I think. I saw Fazer there. He pushed me to the ship and kept me there, and then the song stopped. I heard Laika again, and then there were these lights. I pulled Vriska with me to the last one, and then... You hold your hands up in disbelief. Then I wake up in an upside-down coffin, which is not fun, but I'm here.
That's a lot. Do you know why we can see the ghosts now and talk to them?
Nepeta asks, with the air of someone who'd really like things to stop being so fucking confusing. Unfortunately for her, you're living and breathing that air. The air is you. You chug your drink and shake your head as you swallow it. Am I dead? You ask. Legally, I mean. I figure I crashed my funeral, not someone else's, right? Nepeta smiles and sniffs before answering. Oh shit, I tried to do it and goo happened.
Legally, yeah. I told Solix earlier that we had to sign it all off. He'd said I'd have to do a lot of paperwork to reverse it when you got back. I'm really, really happy to add that to my to-do list, Dave. I'm so happy to see you.
Cool. Maybe, leave me dead? If I'm dead, I don't have to keep doing this job anymore, because I don't want to do this. I don't have Bro anymore. Mom and Mindfang are done, so I did everyone that solid. I'm out. I'm done. You say, your voice shaking as you talk. It's the least they can do. Rose snarls. You jerk your head back, or you jerk your head around to look, and see your twin looking at Nepeta with the threat of death in her eyes.
I'm not going to make you do anything, Dave. I don't think I can make any of you. Things have to change, and they're going to. I'm not going to leave you legally dead, obviously, but you've done more than anyone could ever ask for. I promise you're okay.
Nepeta swears, her hand on her chest. And what about all of them? All of us? Hal demands.
We've nearly lost him twice.
Rose agrees loudly. You're on your feet. They're scared and angry, and you don't know what to... Keep your voices down, please, your dad reminds them. Dave got abducted and Jake got shot. Dirk starts.
We just had his funeral,
Roxy continues. I lost an arm to our dead piece of shit biological father. Solix is one minor inconvenience away from a mental breakdown, Hal adds angrily. Now they're yelling about Beck being haunted. They're scared and angry, and they're not like that for no reason, so that means it's still happening. There's still something wrong that you've got to deal with. It hasn't stopped. Nothing's stopped. You're still Dave. That guy over there who's just gone all 1,000-yard stare on everyone is debatably Dave. Since no one's bothered to tell you anything since you got here, you don't know the names of any of these aliens, so you may as well name them yourself. Sweaty George Clooney in ER but gray, but has noticed that Dave has checked out and is apparently trying to calmly get his attention. Military Catgirl seems distressed by that and by all the people yelling at her, but it looks like she's not sure how to defuse the situation without making the thing with Dave any worse. Which leads you to Alien ICP over here, who is growling and snarling at everyone now, and you may not speak alien, but you can consider yourself multilingual in shut the fuck up, or I'm gonna start picking some of you up to hit other people. If anyone at any point wants to explain anything to me, then that'd be great. Anytime, Solix, you say calmly in English. Sorry, my head, Solix grimaces. You dragged me here, man, you point out. A smaller alien next to him looks up at you. He's rocking the same white getup that a few of them are. He's kinda chubby, but in that built way that actually strong guys sometimes are. Oh fuck, you've got a name for him now. Ursa Minor, because, you know, little bear. Said guy then speaks perfect Spanish at you. Sorry about him, we don't have time for all the things he is. You do speak Spanish, right? You are the Dave Strider from the past, aren't you? I did sort of see you before, but there's a lot going on, as I'm sure you can tell. Yeah, or I was going to say that I'm from the present and you're all from the future, but I guess I'm outvoted. How do you speak Spanish? You ask him in shock. Oh, I'm kind of a polyglot, though my Spanish is rustier than I'd like. I'm Carcat, by the way. I can't tell you what's going on because I really don't have any goddamn idea, but I can translate for you. Though, if you want Solix to understand, we're gonna have to switch to English, but your family all knows Spanish, so there's that, Carcat says, introducing himself and destroying your witty nickname for him. Moment of silence. That was a good one. Solix mutters something in his alien language, and Carcat frowns before translating. He's saying that he can't understand Spanish, and also his head feels like it's going to blow up. He always got these awful migraines after his dreams with you. Normally I'd have painkillers on me, but this was a funeral, and I think our doctor's kind of busy. Across the room, alien Doc Clooney is trying to approach Dave, but it seems the guy is hyperventilating now. Clearly a headache has lower priority. Okay, fine. English it is. How did you do any of that? How am I here? Where is here? Why is this place filled with ghosts, and why can everyone seem to see them? You ask Solix. That last part is new. I have no idea why everyone can see Vriska. The ghost sat down there. That's Vriska. I'm not getting into everything about her. Carcat interrupts. If anything, that makes me more curious. You point out. Jesus, no. Forget everything about her. Trust me. Karkat grimaces. Ah, ex-girlfriend drama. Got it. You nod. What? No! Absolutely not! Karkat reacts in horror, his voice just getting loud enough that the clown shoots him a dark look. You could tell me what's going on instead of that, then, you suggest. Ugh, fine. No, this amount of weird ghost shit isn't normal. Normally there's an amount of ghosts around. There's ours and the odd one here and there, but nothing like that. They all came out of the same door that I guess you came through. I didn't actually see. I was too busy dealing with the sudden wave of ghosts and the reappearance of my boyfriend whose funeral I was at. Karkat adds. You're the other boyfriend. Solix told me about your alien space gay polyamory. Sorry for implying that you had the hots for the dead one, you say in realization. Karkat's eye twitches and he backhands Solix in the arm without even looking at him. Solix snaps something at him in his alien language, but you can pretty easily translate that to some variation of, "The hell was that for?" Solix did drag me through that door and also catch me somehow. I'm gonna guess that you don't have any idea how he did that either? You ask. I don't know, no, but I think... Karkat trails off as he looks at another alien making her way to Dave, although his siblings all seem pretty mad about that. Alien ICP man dissuades them from kicking up too much of a fuss, but it's clear that he's watching this with interest, too. Miss... you're gonna have to name her now too, aren't you? Looking at those horns, you're reminded of cinnamon buns, so that's what you're gonna call her. It's a little interesting that they all look so different. You figured that the rest of Solix's species would have horns that look like his, but it doesn't seem that way. Cinnamon Buns talks to Dave, and whatever she says it in a way that makes him straighten up and look a little more tense, but a little less like he's going to lose it. She gestures to herself, and then alien ICP man, who nods in a businesslike way. Karkat even perks up and nods in agreement, and Solix gives a weak thumbs up. Dave talks back in a shaking voice, and then gets led away by the sweaty buff doc and the human guy who has strong dad energy. And you say that as a father yourself. You know your own kind. Mind filling me in? You prompt Karkat. Right, sorry. So Dave is clearly... Karkat begins, but he doesn't get further from that. Hey, no, I want answers. I need to know what happened and who he is, where he came from, and why you're talking to him in English. A girl demands, in Spanish of all things. She's storming through the group of people to get to you. Wow, you are a lot like my mom. Rose, I guess? You ask in Spanish as well, and that appears to pull her up short. Yes, how? She asks. I think we're going to need to arrange for someone to translate into Alternian for those of us who can't do Spanish, Karkat announces, cutting over Rose in what you'd class as either a bold or stupid move, depending on how much like your mom she is. I can do that, one of the guys says. Alright, so Solix told me a little about all of you. You're Rose, so those three are the triplets. Obviously, you're Roxy, I think it was, which means you two are Hal and Dirk? I'm gonna say it was Dirk. I don't know which is which. You say, pointing at each of them in turn. Hal, Dirk, Solix says, pointing at one and then the other. He doesn't know Spanish, but obviously he can work out that you're figuring out who is who. Not really the kind of day when I feel like impersonating Dirk for a joke, one of the identical guys says. By process of elimination, you're gonna say that's Hal. Dirk shifts from translating what's being said and then looks at his brother to say, You only impersonate me for wish fulfillment. I like to remember what it's like to be one of the little people. Hal shoots back instantly. Ah, siblings. That said, this is really familiar to you. Oh, the hair. It's so obvious when you stop thinking of how much the girls look like your mom or Sophia, or how the guys look like you and your son. You're so used to your mom having white hair and Sophia bleaching hers that you almost didn't catch how white all of their hair is, and the eyes on Roxy are a dead giveaway too. Huh. I just realized how much you look like your grandparent?
I don't know what word they used actually, but I don't think you met them, right? You ask. Your daughter? No, that was before we were born. Hal answers. Yeah, Solix mentioned that, I think. It's been a while for me. But I meant how much you look like her partner. I guess the two of them did get back together and got their shit together after all. You say, thoughtfully. The resemblance is really obvious now, actually.
We don't know who Bro's father was, Roxy says after a moment. It wasn't listed anywhere. We checked,
Rose adds. Wow, okay, maybe they didn't get their shit together and they kept doing the on-again, off-again thing forever. Jesus, hold on. You pull your phone out and flick through your photo albums. Sophia's graduation is a pretty good picture of both of them. You turn your phone around to show the others. That's Sophia and Leaf, although there wasn't their name legally at that point, but they've been going by it since middle school. They got a lot of shit for the albino thing and the non-binary thing, so Sophia stuck up for them. Leaf didn't believe in the whole supernatural thing, and it was always dramatically breaking up and getting back together. The hair and the eyes are pretty obviously like yours, you explain.
Bro's parent was trans and apparently not around, Roxy says slowly.
Oh, motherfucker, is that why... Hal hisses, and Dirk isn't translating anymore. Oh, you say, putting two and two together. Solix told you that Bro was a bigot, which you never got because your kids were never like that, and you couldn't imagine them growing up to be terrible people, so where could he have gotten that from? If Leaf was in and out of Sophia's life, then that could make a kid hate that parent, but that's no excuse for turning that on anyone else, much less your own innocent kids. But still, you should probably not react to that. You don't know how many people here know about Dirk and Hal. You're not about to out them. Still, you can't believe that Leaf would be terrible to any of their kids. They and Sophia were inseparable when they were on good terms, and even when they weren't, they never hated each other. A lot of Leaf's family were accepting, but there were a few relatives that weren't. You just don't think they'd leave that bad of an impression on their kids, surely. Not that Leaf being awful would justify any of the shit that Solix told you Bro did, assuming that Leaf even did anything at all. Plenty of people have their parents split up or just have one leave forever. That doesn't mean you can go around dismembering kids that happen to belong to the same groups as that parent. Suddenly, figuring out who their grandparent was isn't such a fun game anymore. Instead of doing that, you let Karkat catch you up on the story as Dave told it earlier. Clearly your great-grandkids want answers, but it's hard for you to do that with zero context for the questions. When it gets to the part where Dave decided to use ghosts to kill his mother and the other woman who was torturing him, you're behind him there, if a little sad. But when it gets to him being exposed to the vacuum of space and somehow not being dead, you're wildly skeptical. What's worse is that no one in the room is wondering how he survived that. Either Dave is very good at convincing people that he is what he appears to be, or everyone here is so desperate to have the guy back that they're questioning everything but how alive he is. There's no way in hell you're going to convince them that this isn't above board. Not without any proof.
So, how does any of that happen?
Rose asks finally. I don't know. The best I can figure out is that the objects that Solix had me get sort of anchored me and the earth to your coin things here, which came from several members of my family and all of you. Wait, that's... You count on your fingers quickly. That's 9, right?
Solix got Dave's from his eyes. Obviously, his eyes are robotic, but he had his original eyes in a jar that he kept in his room because he's a gross little weirdo who I love and is still alive somehow, and...
Karkat sniffles. Apparently that's too much for him. Oh, okay. So everyone can see that he looks like that. That's not just your supernatural senses pointing out that he looks wrong. Okay, fair. That makes everyone else look a little bit less nuts. Wait. Did you stick your hand in a jar of eyeballs like they were pickled onions? Did you do that without washing your hands before coming to see me? You demand in English, looking at Solix directly.
I don't know what the thing you compared it to is, but no. Got it through the glass. Quit yelling. Solix grumbles. Fine, so those 2 points got connected, and I guess Solix used it to drag me here, and maybe all of that going through time and space cut through the other one directly and got the other guy on the way, like this was some sort of Black Friday event in the Dave store, and Solix had game plan to grab and go, you say.
Fuck. My history knowledge is failing me. What was Black Friday again? I know there was Bloody Sunday, and then there's Good Friday, which was religious, I think. I swear Black Friday was a tragedy. Fuck, it's so hard to remember historical events when it's just an adjective in the day of the week,
Karkat says with a deep frown. I can't believe that you don't know about Black Friday. It's the most important historical... I can't even say it. You say immediately. I can't believe you'd forget about something so important. Dirk agrees right after you.
Can someone else explain it to him? I always get choked up talking about it.
Roxy sniffs. Oh, okay, you're fucking with me. Fuck all of you. This family is evidently genetically all a waste of skin. Karkat hisses. You overplayed it, Rox. Hal tuts. For a second, this is just like home. Just like dumb banter with your kids and your friends. Except it's never going to be that again, because you can't think about it, so you won't. Anyway, I have no idea for sure how Solix did it, but that's my guess. Unless he wants to tell us? You say, and look at him expectantly. It's not him that talks, though. It's Alien ICP. Dirk listens for a second and then translates for your benefit. He says that he got some sense that what was happening was supposed to happen when Solix was opening the door. That's why none of them stopped him. Dirk says, in the tone of someone who thinks that whole explanation is utter bullshit. That does make sense. Sometimes you get a feel for when something is supposed to happen. Solix did say that he wasn't totally sure why we had to get each thing, but that it had to happen. But if he was doing the same on your side... You're not really sure here. If past Solix didn't know, and future Solix didn't know, then who knows what the hell is going on? And who's flying the plane? Pro tip for anything to do with this idiot. If 2 or both is ever an option, then that's the thing he goes for. So it's on brand for him to have the same vague sense of what's going on through both ends of this thing. Karkat explains. What about Beck? Sorry, the dog. I mean, you all freaked out about him, and Aradia said he was haunted. Roxy asks, looking at the big white dog sitting by the sofa. That was so unsettling. I have no idea what that whole deal is about, Karkat says with a shudder. What, that? Dog's haunted. It's pretty self-explanatory. You tell them with a shrug. Nothing about that is self-explanatory, Rose tells you. Okay, doesn't seem textbook. It's not just a straight-up possession situation. This is clearly more animal ghost is an avatar for a greater force that is then haunting a dog. Pretty garden variety spooky shit. You clarify. Cinnamon Buns asks something after Dirk translates that to her, and then he translates what she said back to you. Is that normal for you? Yeah, pretty much. Nature spirits from displaced areas or big dramatic natural events like animals caught in a wildfire, they tend to form around an avatar of the same kind of traumatic thing, and there you go. I'm not wading around up to my waist in spooky nature ghosts every day, but it's pretty standard. They're mostly harmless. It's beginner shit. Anyone who can do what I can should know that. Sophia was dealing with nature spirits like she was living in a Ghibli film when she was a tween. You tell her. That's... Karkat pauses for a second as Cinnamon Buns reacts. That's not normal for us. Those 2 and Dave have been doing this since they were about 13 or so. Me and Solix are new, but none of us knew about this. Wow, okay. The hell do you people even do? Come here, doggy. Come here. You call out, and crouch down a little as you call.
We live on a spaceship. There's not a lot of animals or nature here, so...
Roxy points out. Space is natural, but I guess. You reply, watching the dog amble closer to you. You guess it understands Spanish, or at least it's trained enough to guess that you're saying come here in the hopes that treats might be involved.
His name is Beck, but I think the ghost we saw was Laika, the space dog. The one the Russians sent up as the first animals in space. She died up there.
Karkat explains. Yeah, I know who that is. I too saw sad dog comics on Tumblr. You snort. You reach out and take hold of Beck's furry canine face. It's hard to tell exactly what breed of dog he is, but you're gonna guess there's some husky, some Samoyed, and probably even straight up wolf in there. He's got a big, expressive face, and right now his tongue is partway out in a goddamn adorable little blep that makes you want to squeeze him tight instead of figure out what he is. What's going on with you, then? You whisper to him. Beck looks at you with dark eyes, and you feel that familiar animal avatar behind the mortal appearance. You reach out to it and try to make contact. You get it, too, through whatever the mental equivalent of a wet nose pressed into your hand is. At the forefront is the avatar itself, small and scared, alone and dying for something it never asked for and couldn't have agreed to. Betrayed by the people who cared for it, but still hoping they'd somehow come and let it out. Hadn't it been good? What did it do wrong? But behind that, a countless number of dogs, some long released into the wild with puppies of their own, snuffed out in an instant. Others still waiting for their owners who had suddenly disappeared, not understanding what they'd done to deserve being left behind. Fuck, you're not one to cry in movies, but you can't handle ones where the dog dies, and this whole Avatar is basically that. Something vulnerable that wanted to be good, only to get abandoned and betrayed by people who should have cared. It makes you really glad that you never had any pets near the end of your time on Earth. You were avoiding this exact thing. It is Laika, and every dog that was still on Earth at the end. I can't do anything for this. For some of them you can resolve their trauma, but I can't fix that. You say sadly, rubbing behind Beck's ears and making his tail wag.
He was Jade's service dog, and then Dave's too. He still is, emotionally at least.
Rose explains. I can see how that would work. A chance to be needed and loved again. But like I said, space is natural, so it makes sense that if this is going to have any kind of natural vibe, it'd be that. You tell her.
That's why Dave heard the barking, then? Why Laika kept showing up in his dreams, and in my vision?
Karkat says, clearly thinking out loud. Jade is insisting that he's harmless, then. Dirk trails off as a girl with pretty green eyes crouches down and wraps the dog in a crushing hug.
I guess so. He really scared me and Solix before, but it must have been the haunted thing. He didn't really do anything more than growl or be a little too smart,
Karkat says guiltily. I wouldn't say that. You shrug and stand up again. If you're looking for a likely candidate for an animal avatar likely to kill, something like this would be an easy pick. If you abuse an animal, it's way more likely to one day snap and bite back, and that's a billion abandoned and betrayed dogs in there. It looks like it's chosen to help people who need help instead of lashing out, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have serious teeth. That's a lot of power in there. Solix winces as Beck barks and wags his tail, seemingly pleased at your attention, and at the girl giving him a hug. Karkat makes an unhappy noise and kind of manhandles Solix into sitting on the floor before pulling out what looks like a phone and tapping away at it. Other people around you are talking in their alien language, and the feeling of being alone comes back to you again. As much as you try to distract yourself with haunted dogs and other people, it's still there.
Are you messaging Equius? Can you ask him if Dave is okay? I didn't mean to...
Rose sighs and looks despondent.
I think us shouting and being upset triggered him somehow.
Alien ICP replies after Dirk translates. If you're all scared, there's something to be scared of. He only got talked down after we told him that he had to rest so he could take over from us on the next shift. Otherwise, we'd be too tired to protect everyone.
So you really don't know much more than us then. You don't know why this happened, or how you all got here, or why everything is ghosts? Hal says. I wasn't expecting to be alive enough right now for anyone to ask me questions. I was supposed to be dead 20 minutes ago. You say, checking your phone. You were supposed to be dead. Everyone thought you died, but no. You're here.
At least you're alive. That's a good thing to come out of this, at least.
Roxy says brightly. With the one exception of Solix, everyone I've ever known or loved is dead. My whole planet is gone, and I'm stuck on a spaceship in the future with a haunted dog, a language barrier, and a billion ghosts that came through a weird hole in space. My plan was to get high and drunk on a beach, sober up to hand Solix whatever random item he needed, hopefully get back to high and drunk, and then blip out of existence. So, not wildly thrilled about this. You snap at her, but feel guilty the moment she looks crestfallen. You sigh and look down at Solix. He was trying to help you too, and he didn't want you to die. It's not like you wanted to die either. It didn't seem like you got a choice about that, and now you're suddenly not about to die. You don't know what to do about it. Sorry, it's been a day, and I'm still a little hungover. I didn't mean to snap. That wasn't cool. I'm sorry for whatever happened to your brother. You say, not adding, and for having to deal with whatever is pretending to be him, because that'd be mean right now. Thankfully, alien Doc Clooney comes back in and passes Solix some pills that he takes immediately, without even drinking anything with them. His return breaks up the tension that you brought up by not being too grateful to be alive. People are immediately clamoring to talk to him, and given that you can hear your name repeated, or you suppose your great-grandson's name, you can guess what they're talking about. Hal hangs back as other people ask the same questions. It seems like a good opportunity for you to step up closer to him and talk quietly. Hey, Solix told me about you and Dirk. You start. I'm Dirk. He interrupts. Wait, I thought he was. You say, pointing at the other one. Nah, I'm fucking with you. I'm Hal. The guy grins impishly, and you get a flash of Sophia and Leaf's faces when they were both up to mischief as teenagers. Seeing that makes your heart ache. Fucker. I'm pretty sure that Solix didn't think we'd ever meet, and he was telling me about how my grandson was a complete piece of shit to all of you. So I wanted to say that I know, but I didn't want to mention it earlier. I don't know how out you two are. You explain, keeping your voice low. Oh, the trans thing? Literally everyone knows. The only person it was news to was Solix, because he chronically doesn't pay attention to other people if he doesn't care, and I guess he missed the backstory part. Him finding out was the funniest shit. But also, our dad is trans, and my sister June is too. There, that's her. It's not a secret. You're okay. Hal explains, and points a girl out across the room. She looks totally different to the rest of them, so you suppose she's related to your great-grandkid's adoptive father. That's good. I didn't want to out anyone. I've had that done to me with my sexuality before, and it's never fun, so... You explain. I only care about the opinions of people that I give a shit about, and I don't give a shit about the kind of people who'd have stupid opinions about anything like that. It's a great system, but it's not like I can tell you that this is a magical future where no one is bigoted about things. The sexuality stuff is mostly a lot better here, I think, but partly that's an alien thing. Their species, they're called trolls. Hal goes on. Like, internet trolls? You say skeptically. I know, right? You should message Carcat sometimes. It's wildly appropriate for him. But, yeah, on the whole, trolls don't give a shit about gender. Either what you are, but especially with who you date. Some of them are shitty about changing your gender, but there's trans trolls too, so it's not unheard of for them either. Hal explains. Fuck me. Gay space future. You say in quiet awe. Gay space future. It's not so great on mostly human ships, or it wasn't on the one we came from. Other ships might be different. I don't know, or super care. Hal adds. He says Dave's passed out on Dad now. Dirk reports, appearing at Hal's side. Great. Did you know we live in a gay space future? Hal asks. Shit, is a future space gay? I'd hope so.
Dirk says immediately, his tone totally flat, but still obviously amused. Rose, did you know we live in a gay space future? Hal asks, calling out to his sister.
Yes, I refer to it as such at every opportunity. I tell my girlfriend this every morning.
Rose replies, seemingly confused by this sudden announcement from Hal. And here I am from a time gone by. You sigh.
The pan-galactic future is pretty great,
Roxy announces, leaning on Dirk's shoulder. You hope that means you're forgiven for snapping at her earlier. You feel bad about it still. It's Rose who breaks first. Not into laughter at these fantastic jokes, but back into the actual emotions that you're all avoiding.
I think I'm being irrational. It's understandable after everything, but I feel like if I don't see Dave, he won't be there. Do you think we're going to be allowed back there?
Rose asks quietly. She's got her arms folded, and you can see how tightly her fingers are digging into her skin, just underneath the sleeves of the formal black blouse that she was wearing to her brother's funeral. I doubt that'll let us in, Hal says grimly. Maybe not if we ask, but if you ask, Dirk suggests lightly.
Yeah, you could ask him very nicely.
Roxy giggles. Oh my god, shut up. Especially you. If you want to embarrass me about my boyfriend, I can do way worse about you when you and Jake were failing at romance. Hal hisses at Dirk. Yeah, but I married mine, so I win. Dirk replies smugly.
I shouldn't ask. It won't be helpful. It will not resolve my anxiety. Excuse me, I need to go,
Rose says, almost to herself. She walks away from your group and up to a different alien. Troll. You can't believe they're called trolls. You may have to actually verify this with a person who doesn't share your dumbass genes to be sure that you're not being set up for a dumb joke. Oh, they're hugging. Space lesbian future. Good for them. You eye the ghost that's still lingering by the sofa and then consider your options here. In the end, you decide to sidle back up to Karkat. Hey, how's he doing? You ask casually, pointing at Solix.
This doesn't seem to be as bad as some of the migraines that this shit has given him, so he'll probably feel better soon.
Karkat answers, keeping his voice quiet. Cool. Great, love that for him. Hey, could I borrow you so that I could talk to that ghost girl over there? I want to ask some questions about what happened to my great-grandson from someone who was actually there, and I don't speak your language. You say.
The language is Alternian. Our planet was Alternia. We're not Alternians, though. Our species is called trolls. You can call us Alternians, but it has the same feeling as calling you an Earthling. But,
Karkat hums and then switches languages to talk to Solix. Solix nods at whatever Karkat says, and so Karkat waves someone else over.
This is Jane. She's one of Dave's sisters. Adopted, obviously. She's also a doctor, so she can look after Solix,
Karkat explains.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I speak a little Spanish. Much little,
Jane says, a little clumsily, but it's earnest. It's more Alternian than I speak. You sound great. You reassure her.
The Striders grew up speaking both, but their Alternian got way better when they got here, since it's this ship's main language. When Dave and Rose got here, they'd let me practice my Spanish with them,
Karkat tells you. Solix makes a pained and unhappy sound as Troll Doc Clooney talks to him and then to Jane. You guess he's passing on medical information. Or at least that's what you think, until Solix says something and both doctors look at you in alarm. Jane takes a sharp step back and Karkat smacks himself in the forehead.
You just came from 2036, right?
Karkat asks you. New Year's Day, but yeah. Why? You say with a shrug.
You weren't sick, were you? Or you're not now? It's just that humans had that whole plague thing, and it didn't get fully taken care of on Earth because of your planet being on the verge of destruction, so...
Karkat says hopefully. I've not been around a lot of people lately, because there weren't as many people around, but It's not like I cared enough to do anything to stop myself getting sick, 'cause I thought I was gonna die today. You admit.
I think you need to follow us.
Karkat sighs and beckons you to follow him and Troll Doc Clooney past the ghost that you actually want to talk to and into another room. Karkat and the Doc are talking as they go, and they both look pretty stressed about the whole thing, especially given that you were just standing up close to basically all of the other humans in the room just minutes before. Against your will, Karkat informs you that the doctor's name is Aqueous, so I guess you're calling him that now.
God, can you not just have something?
Yay!
I can have a follower, apparently. Hi! Welcome. Here. I'm gonna give you a large paragraph. Hold on. Nope, no space. Here, enjoy a large paragraph on me. While I read these other smaller paragraphs. I have a hangover, not COVID. Have you guys cured hangovers yet? You ask hopefully.
The cure is not drinking that much in the first place. He says, can you open your mouth for him?
Karkat translates. Does he ask my great-grandson that too? You snort.
I'm just gonna translate that.
Karkat says despairingly, and then does so. Aqueous looks unimpressed and talks to Karkat.
Yeah, I'm kind of wordy.
That sound effect is from Pikmin, Muzz! What are you talking about? That's from Pikmin! What are you talking about? Anyway, yeah, I'm wordy. I try to not be when I'm reading, but it doesn't always work.
He's theorizing that whatever makes your whole family like this must be genetic. Personally, I think the eternally flipping coin of smartass, dumbass is more of a family curse to everyone who has to talk to any of you, but what do I know? Open your mouth, Karkat tells you.
Do you say that to my great-grand... Ow! You yelp as Karkat kicks you in the leg. Karkat looks like he'll kick you again if you keep annoying him, so you reluctantly let the good-looking doctor examine you. He has a look in your throat, takes a swab, and then has to take a second one because you messed up the first by trying to make a joke about gag reflexes to Karkat. You get your temperature taken, and then a blood sample extracted as well. Is that one to see if I'm sick, or to try to sequence my awesome genetics so that make my great-grandkids cool? You ask Karkat.
No one in your family is cool,
Karkat informs you. Aren't you dating Dave? Shouldn't you think he's cool? You point out.
No, because he's not. He's sweet and funny and a complete loser, but he's thoughtful and good. Sometimes he's got less sense than the gross stuff that grows between the shower tiles, but he can also be the sharpest and most intuitive person I know. I've been at least a little in love with him since I was 13. I thought he was dead and I'd lost him, that I'd never see him again. He's perfect and wonderful, but cool? Nope, never,
Karkat says with a soft smile. You talk like my wife talks about me. You should probably heed the wise words of Beyonce, you advise him. Except he shouldn't, because whatever came back isn't that Dave, but no one has space for that conversation right now, and you're not getting anywhere with anyone if you open with that.
You'd prefer not to think about it. Who is Beyonce?
Karkat asks after a second. This is the worst future. I can't believe Earth was destroyed for you to not know about the greatest musician of all time. You huff indignantly. Aqueous says something to Karkat. It better be berating him for not knowing who Beyonce is, or you swear to God you're going to scream.
Aqueous says you don't have COVID. I say you clearly have some kind of brain rot. Also, if you want to talk about old Earth music, you should talk to the triplets. It's their mutual special interest. Also, Dave has an incredible musical ear and zero taste, so he'd probably be down for that talk when he's... Karkat doesn't finish that, and you suspect it's because he's too emotional about it, not because he doesn't know the word.
Has the doc managed to do a blood test on Dave? You ask carefully.
Dave has a lot of... I'm not going into details, but his mom was a doctor. You must have seen his arms, right? She ran a lot of experiments on him, so Equius isn't doing anything that Dave won't agree to. I'll ask, but I think the answer is going to be no.
Karkat explains. He does ask Equius, and the doctor shakes his head. How convenient. You don't suggest that they should just do it anyway, because you doubt that whatever will come up will be right, or if it is, then it won't be living. No one wants to hear that. But you know. That is not Dave Strider. You are Dave Strider, the one and only.
Now, what the fuck did he mean by that? It is break time. I would like to address two things. Firstly, Muzz, you're gonna have to send me a clip. Because... What? And secondly... yeah, this fic has... I don't want to scroll all the way back up. I just scrolled all the way... Yeah, I'm that cool bitch who's got the author in their chat room. And on their Discord friends list. Not to brag or anything. Yes. We're actually coming up on 1.1 million words. Here, I'll just... there's a wonderful button called Duplicate Tab. Go back up. Starting from the end of March 2021, and only just recently updated with Chapter 62, we are at almost 1.1 million words. I'm not a fast reader, but I have read all of this many times. And I've read DBDC twice, which is also over 1.1 million words. And I've read AU a few times, which is like 700 some odd thousand, right? I don't remember. 7 something or other. Yeah, 735. I've read that a few times as well. I think twice as well. You write a normal amount of words. I could never in a quadbillion years expect to read, to write anywhere close to that much. But I have read them multiple times. Anyway, chapter's not over. This is break time. I'll be back. I need to put food in my face. I'll be back. Wah. Sorry. I specifically grabbed that last song because it was shorter than what it was going to give me next naturally. And then I fucking forgot to pay attention when it was about to end. Let me just finish my drink real quick. Because, as I noted earlier, it was already almost gone. And now it's gone. Now let me finish this water. Which is also almost gone. I'm not very good at finishing drinks in one sitting. And the nice thing is, I can't tell if this water tastes dusty or not because I'm still busy tasting the remnants of the other drink before that. No more water. Okay. 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 Let's get back to it. Let's do the part where you can see again. Now you can see again. You are something. Hazily, you come back to the waking world, to the sleep-distorted audio of quietly sung Mandarin. Your dad's voice comes in through one ear, but reverberates through the other from his chest. His hand is warm on your back, and for a moment you think you must be dreaming. You're not, though. It's too real. Dad worked out really early on that parents that were too quiet were unsettling to all of you, so he got in the habit of talking or singing softly if any of you had nightmares or were just on edge at all. He couldn't be anyone else, and you don't know the words of this song to imagine it. His heartbeat is drumming gently against your ear as you open your eyes. You're in your room in quarantine. You were in here earlier. Well, not here. Okay, no, you were here. Dad took you here, right? But you had been out in the main area. Ek looked you over. You had popcorn. Did I die and this is some kind of good afterlife? You mumble into Dad's nicest shirt. I'm not wanting to put your nice doctor friend or Janie out of a job, but I think I can say that you're not dead. The talking is a giveaway. Dad chuckles. The sound is all rumbly in your ear. You thought I was. That was my funeral, right? You say, and hear how his breath catches. I'm very, very happy that you came back. I'm not sure I can handle you nearly dying this much. Dad says, his voice controlled, but very obviously agonized under it. You did that. No. The powers that your fucking parents forced on you did that the first time, and the second time, it was those powers and taking Mom down with them. They did that, but they are all dead now. I think I kind of quit, you whisper. I heard that. I think it caused a lot of big feelings, Dad says. That's Dad code for your siblings lost their shit about something. You don't actually remember what happened. Things feel a little hazy. Thinking about them being upset is giving you the heebie-jeebies, so you're gonna swerve right around that. Did they use a good picture of me or that dorky one? You ask. All pictures of you are nice pictures, Dave, your dad says sincerely. If you want an answer to that, you're gonna have to ask someone else in your family. Fuck, even if they thought you were dead, if everyone thought you were dead and they put up that stupid picture of you from right after your sailor training, you're gonna lose it. Was it a nice funeral? You ask, hopefully. No, because it was yours, and I never wanted that, Dad says stiffly, but then he relents. Nepeta said some very moving things. There was quite the turnout. You're a popular young man. Gamzee started to sing very nicely, and then all of the dogs interrupted, and that nice young man Solix sang at the wall, and I think ripped a hole in the wall, possibly also reality. But he brought you back, and he also brought back another Dave Strider, so I'm not going to complain. I haven't got the chance to speak to him yet, beyond being told who he is. Dad explains. That makes you sit up. You were in the void with Vriska, then barking, singing, ghosts, then here. How the fuck did he do that? You wonder. I think everyone was really hoping that you would know, your dad replies. No one understands how or why Solix does anything that he does, you snort. Your dad makes an uneasy sound and undoes his tie with the slow and deliberate motions of a man distracting himself from what he's about to say. I was very busy with the funeral planning and caring for Rose. She was very shaken at losing you. We all were, but she... Dad winces. Yeah, I remember from before, when you didn't know what had happened on Somnos. You nod. She didn't handle it as well this time. Repeated trauma, I suppose. I heard about other people as well. Nepeta was very good at keeping me informed. I believe that your friend Gamzee was very affected, but he was functioning for your sake, I believe. But Solix... Dad hesitates. The impression that I got from Dirk was that Solix was probably on the edge of needing to be hospitalized. He was very certain that you were alive, and obviously you were, and we were all hoping that something would happen. Oh, so you might need to be careful there. Or do you? I'm not sure that's right. I mean, if this was a thing to do with his weird double-sided balancer powers, then he probably was certain that I was alive. I wish I'd known I'd be back here. I'd felt better about it. Your confidence drops with each word, as your dad gives you a look that suggests that no matter how right Solix was, he is concerned. He always liked Solix. Said he was a nice young man, which is wrong on 2 counts, because, of course. He's also always liked Karkat, too. Always referred to him as the sweet loud one, whenever you were teenagers and talking about your mutual friends with your sisters. Okay, so I've got to talk to a few people, then. You sigh. No, you don't have to do anything. This isn't your crisis to manage. You're not working. You don't have to do anything. I only wanted to make you aware of how some people are feeling. You have been through a lot. You don't have to do anything. Dad warns you. I know, but I feel fine. Mostly fine. You smile weakly and get to your feet. Dad gives you a pained look, but he's not arguing with you. I mean, it's nothing new. You look down at your arms, and you're still shaking hands. It's nothing that you haven't been through before, is it? Watching a parent get hurled into space? If you count your mom launching you and bro in that pod the one time, then this is the 3rd time it's happened. Getting experimented on, getting attacked, none of that's new. And really, it wasn't even that bad. You've had worse. It's old news. Dave, you should really speak to that therapist of yours. The one with the puppies. Your dad suggests. Cinnamon Toast had the puppies? You whisper. It's so stupid that after everything, this is the thing that reduces you to ugly floods of tears. You're trying to reason that it's a sign that life moved on without you, that while you were getting experimented on and murdering your mother, life went on. Cinnamon Toast had Beck's puppies. People planned your funeral, even though you weren't dead. It's not fair. This shit isn't fair. You gave everything you had, but that's all you've ever done. You kept your parents' secrets and the pain they put you through so that your siblings would be protected. You learned to balance in secret without being able to tell anyone who didn't already know about the balance. You learned and did the job because you had to. You lied to everyone about your life, about who you were, about what you did. You never considered a future beyond what you'd been handed because that wasn't how this worked. You lost Jade because of the secrecy and because having Bro forced against your soul this whole time made it nearly impossible to know who you were. You wasted her time and broke both of your hearts. Then everyone finds out everything about you, and that's not fair. You finally end up happy with Solix and Karkat. You finally get your life together, and then your mom takes you. You could have let her go on, but you had to stop her. And it wasn't fair, but you had to. You nearly died, and it's not fair. Nothing has been fair, ever! But everyone was just going to go on without you. They'd sadly sing Bones in the Ocean for you, and maybe look out for your ghost among all the others in the future. Thanks for playing, Dave. Sucks for you that you got chewed up and shit out. Too bad. It's stupid. You know it is. You don't want people to die from grief. You hate that you hurt anyone. There's certainly no sense in being angry that Cinnamon Toast had her puppies without you there. But you sacrificed your whole life because you had no choice, or people told you that you had no choice. You sacrificed so much. And for what? You are impossibly, soul-screamingly, endlessly angry about this. Your hands are shaking, their chipped and torn nails, an accusation at everything you've been through. The marks on your arm from tests that showed nothing of use either. I need to be by myself. You tell your dad, and leave before he can stop you. It's not like you're gonna apologize, is it? You think you're kinda over that, actually. Apologizing, laying your life down for everyone. You don't want to be some hero. All you wanted was to come home, to stop this shit for good. And yet, as your feet walk you through the quarantine area, you think that even if you lived 1,000,000 lifetimes, you'd never be done being angry about all of this. Rose was probably right, wasn't she? All this science, this secrecy, twisting you and everyone before you into going along with it. That shit's evil. The window that looks down onto the ship's docking area and out to space reflects your face ever so slightly. You look pale and furious, even as you're translucently laid over the Atuin itself and the darkness of space beyond it. Staring at yourself, you decide something pretty firmly for yourself. Never again. Not just your mom's science, but all of it. There's the answer to Karkat's question from all that time ago. Could you do this to someone else? Make someone else do your job? No. You can't. It's one thing explaining things to Solix and Karkat and setting them up to know how to deal with this and choose to help. But you'd never have made them help. With the Carapacians around, things are going to change. They already know about the balance, and the group you saw before were balancers. Things can be better, right? Sure, you don't get a choice about whether you are a balancer or not, but you can have a choice about whether you do it or not. That's better. You can live with that. On the other hand, when this ship eventually gets a new captain, you're going to need to make your position on that clear. No one will be made to live the life you have, no matter what. Something in that feels right. It feels true down to every atom that you have. Hey. You turn, expecting to see Solix, but no. That's the same double-layered split-tongue effect, but the voice is different. It's Matuna. It finally clicks for you that you can understand him, even though you were listening to him earlier. It hadn't sunk in. Hey, I can understand what you're saying, you say slowly. The anger from before doesn't fade or go away, but it's more as if you simply switch channels. It's still there. It'll always be there. Yeah, I got that. You can understand Vriska, too, Matuna says quietly, and stands at your side, looking out through the window, too. He doesn't cast a reflection like you do, though, but you can still see him out of the corner of your eye when you look out there. Why? Vriska's not attached to anyone, but you are. I shouldn't be able to understand you. You point out. You couldn't understand him before, which is why you had to resort to crude charades, but you could understand him when he was talking to Vriska before, right? Ugh, your head is so messed up. Search me, man. Sai and Signless have already found me that they can understand each other, so that devolved into ghostly makeout, and then they realized that living people can understand them and build a fine disciple, so I guess she's gonna get unalive action, the phantom porn, spectral spunk, fuck, I can't think of any more! Matuna hisses. Phantom has more of an F sound when you say it, though, right? Phantasmal fraudage works. Oh, spooky sex was right there, duh. You say, shaking your head for not seeing it sooner. Every day I'm made to say words. Eerie ejaculation, Matuna adds with a sage nod. Okay, see, I'm less mad about being interrupted when I wanted to be alone to seethe about my life when it means I get to have this conversation. Not being able to talk to you this whole time was clearly a loss. You snort. Captors are just fucking great. And great fucking. Please tell me Solix isn't dragging our rep through the mud on that, right? Matuna asks. He drags his hand through his hair and gives you a jokingly flirtatious look as he does so. It's different from when Solix does it. With his joking flirtations, there's always a layer of, nah, I'm just joking. Unless? And that's not here with Matuna. Wasn't really thinking about it when I was being experimented on, but he's not giving you guys a bad name. Well, unless you mean with the laundry drones, you say, flashing him a grin. Trolls are fun, kind of technicolor and laundry generating if you're getting very personal with them, but very fun. I warned them for you, but I can't interact with tech. Matuna shrugs. That thought flits through your mind. Not Matuna interacting with technology, but the idea of you being physical with Solix and Karkat again. You stop breathing and remember how hard it was to let even Equius touch you to check how hurt you were. Having your dad carry you to another room or passing out against him is one thing, and even that's a level of contact you couldn't keep up and mentally be all there for. I think the laundry drones might be safe for a while. You whisper and clutch at your arms, even though it makes your nerves go staticky from it. Matuna shrugs like he doesn't really care, and he probably doesn't, actually. He probably knows what you're going through, or at least has some kind of comparison. The difference is he didn't make it out alive. He probably cares about you, at least a little, but it'd be weird for him to be too invested in whether or not you're gonna bone his ancestor. Actually, this is Matuna. He famously has no boundaries, right? He'd probably high-five you if he... Looking at your hand, you remember holding Vriska's hand. You remember it in the void, and you remember grabbing her on the way to the quarantine area. You think you were holding on to her for a bit after that, right? How do you do that? Are all the rules weird now? You look at Matuna, and then hold your fist out to him. Humor me for a second. I'm not fist-bumping you for nothing, man. Earn that shit. Matuna tells you flatly. I murdered my mom and Mindfang. You say, slightly sharply, not adding exactly why that should be something that Matuna's thankful for. Immediately, Matuna fist bumps you. Kind of hard, actually. His sharp knuckles making your hand throb a little at the impact. Oh shit! I'm physical! Matuna gasps, and then swipes his arm clean through the window. You're physical with me, at least. You say. You don't know the limits of this. The ghosts can be somewhat physical. Psionic is a fan of perching on people's shoulders, and you can feel the touch of the ghosts, but it's nothing as physical as that. Bro and GHB could never hurt, but you knew they were there, and they could jump scare you with touch. That fist bump was nothing like that. You could have been convinced that it was a living person who just touched you then. It's totally different. Let me go check other people! Holy shit! Matuna squawks, and before you can say anything else, he's gone. You lean against the glass and try to think. The rules seem different now. Everything feels different now, and you don't know what to think about that. But then, you push your sleeve up just enough to see the angry marks of the sensors on your arm. Different is better, right? You're also not sure when you got back into the top half of your uniform again to have sleeves to push up, but that doesn't even rank on your list of problems right now. Shit, this whole situation is a mess. More than anything, you wanted to come home, but here you are hiding off by yourself. But it's not your fault. You don't know how you're supposed to feel, or... You do know how you feel. You're angry. This has been established already. That's wildly different from how you're supposed to feel. That's what you haven't worked out yet, isn't it? Trying to work out how you're supposed to be playing this so you can put on the right face for other people. Solix called you a liar once. He told you that you didn't have to tell him the truth, but you didn't need to bullshit him. No prizes for guessing why that got you so invested in him. How many times have you balanced, or gone on a mission, or done anything and not been able to talk about it? Yeah, you think you're also done with lying and pretending that you're fine when you're not. Yeah. Never again. You feel good about that. It's just you. I can mess with Solix and Karkat as much as I could before, but not like this, Mituna says as he floats through a wall. He reaches down and puts his hand on top of your head and wobbles it about like you're some bobble-headed toy. Well, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I'm gonna go find people, you announce and start walking.
They're not really hard to find. Kinda think you should talk to Solix, though. He's starting to lose it.
Mituna advises you. He's the second person to do that, so you probably should. Sure. Hey, how'd you find me anyway? You ask him as you walk. The quarantine area is pretty big, and it's not like you told anyone where you were going. Mituna just shrugs at you and then slips off through a wall without you. You have to respect the inclination to just peace out on a conversation that you're no longer interested in. Maybe you should start doing that too. Add it to your list of things you're changing. You guess you do that autopilot thing. You know, where you're walking a route you've done so many times that when you're tired enough or distracted enough, you can look up and bam, you're there. Either that, or you're still swimming through the Olympic swimming pool of trauma hard enough that your brain isn't willing to expend energy on paying attention to hallways. All you know is that you look up when you hear voices.
You need to breathe, Solix,
Karkat says calmly.
I don't know why I'm doing this. He's back. I got him back. I got him back when he had to come back. I couldn't have done anything else. I know he's not gone, so why...
Solix says breathlessly.
Because that's not what you're really panicked about,
Karkat tells him. You look around the corner at them, at Solix leaning against the wall with his hands almost gripping it from fear. Karkat has his hands on Solix's shoulders, gently keeping him in place as he leans against him like some kind of Vantis-weighted blanket. Bad time? You call out, making both of them jump and look at you.
Absolutely not,
Karkat sighs in relief.
Really, really not bad timing at all. The best timing,
Solix tells you and gives you a shaky smile. This is what you wanted, to come home to them. Who the hell cares about being a balancer or having a purpose? You wanted a life. You wanted this. It takes no effort at all to walk closer to them, but you're not entirely ready to touch them just yet. You gotta work up to that. Sorry about losing it back there. You apologize.
If anyone has any complaints about how you're handling this, I will personally knot their limbs together like a living balloon animal,
Karkat tells you cheerily and with a slightly unhinged look in his eyes. Horrifying, you manage after a moment.
How are you?
Solix asks, ignoring all of that. That's a big question. I'm not that hurt. I've had worse. I guess the unreality shit saved me from the worst of it. I'd really like to not have any more medical shit done for a while. But I'm home, and I didn't...
I can't believe I got here. How are you guys anyway? It was your side that opened the door, right? That's what all that stuff was about, wasn't it? You ask. Don't ask me. That was all Solix. As for the coins, he got one of them from your creepy jar of eyeballs. Karkat says with a grimace. That was what your dream was about. That was you going to my funeral. You breathe in horror as the realization hits you. A funeral for a guy I knew wasn't dead. And before you ask, because everyone asks, I didn't put my hands in the jar to get the coin. Solix says. You start talking and then falter. A large part of you knows that you shouldn't say what you were going to, but also, weren't you done with just faking shit just so other people feel better about what happened to you? Dave? Karkat says softly. I don't know what to think, you admit. About what? There's so much going on, he reminds you. That's true. Goddamn. When I was there, I was thinking about what you'd know, what happened to the others. I tried to think how you'd find me. I got Verska to tell me how far we were from the planet. I thought about how to sabotage the ship because I knew you'd know I was gone. You'd figure it out. You look at Solix at that part, because of course he'd solve a problem like that. You look at Karkat after that. And if Polypa or whoever said they couldn't come after me, well, you and my family started one revolution already. I knew you'd come after me if you could. Oh, believe me, if we'd found you alive, nothing would have stopped us following you, Karkat says emphatically, and you believe him. Sometimes I doubted it a little, but Mindfang wanted that, to make me think no one was coming. And, Matuna. You trail off at that, and Solix winces. There's one part you and Matuna can relate to. It's not fair. Slightly different flavors, but it's not fair all the same. But I knew what had happened if you came to save me, so I made sure there was no one to save. I didn't want that for you, but I shouldn't get to say that, and this is the thing you shouldn't say. But I wanted to say, thanks for not thinking I was dead, Solix. The idea that everyone just had a funeral and was gonna move on without me is too much, but I'm the one who did this. Karkat looks hurt. Of course he does. That's why you shouldn't have said that. We had your funeral because we had to, Karkat says, after a second or two. Stupid policy, but also the door had to open then, so, I don't know, we had to? Solix shrugs. No, I know, it's how it works, and you had to sing the song, and that's what we do. It's how it is, but also, fuck how it is, actually? You say it almost like a question, because you're not used to hating this quite so much. I saw the ship get ripped apart. We all did. I couldn't see any way that you could be alive, and I'm so happy to be wrong, but if I kept believing you were alive somehow, I was gonna go insane. Karkat tells you. I knew you were alive, Solix points out. You were going insane. But, Dave, if you think for a second that me believing you were dead meant I was gonna go on without you, or that any of us would, then you're wrong. I would never get over that. Losing you was hell. There's no way that if your funeral had gone as planned and you hadn't come back that I'd be just going on with my life as normal. I would miss you and mourn you for the rest of my life, Karkat tells you fiercely, even though his eyes are brimming with tears. I never got over Matuna, even if I got used to some of it. Actually, I got him back too, Solix says in an almost wondrous tone. That's not a pattern. You're not... Yeah, okay, I think I see what Matuna meant. You mutter that last part, although clearly Karkat caught it from the look he gives you. I know what you mean about Matuna. Even if I'd felt better than I did today, I wouldn't have ever forgotten you. It wasn't like you stopped mattering, Karkat says. It's not like I wanted people to be fucked up about me forever. I don't want the people I love to be hurt.
you say, feeling like you shouldn't have said any of this.
I know. I feel shitty for thinking you were dead, but I also know there was no sane reason to think you were alive.
Karkat says quietly. I don't want you to feel shitty. You tell him. You really don't want him to feel like that.
I do. Fuck you, KK. I knew Dave was alive. I just didn't know how. It was probably some kind of future past hangover, like how I remembered the song lyrics and stuff. I was just trying to figure out how he could be alive.
Solix hisses.
Sure, I'm not arguing with you on that,
Karkat says and shrugs. Solix looks as surprised to hear that as you feel. Karkat seems like he's been arguing that pretty strongly.
I'm not. I understand having a feeling about this stuff, even when you can't explain it. I got visions of the future too, but that's not the thing that worried me. If you'd said that you felt like you knew he was alive, but you couldn't say how, but you were willing to look at that ship being ripped apart and admit that he was probably dead, despite your feeling, then I wouldn't have been worried. Or, okay, obviously I'm worried about both of us from seeing that. You couldn't even admit the possibility, and now you're worried without admitting what you're worried about,
Karkat says.
Nothing's wrong. I'm not worried. He's alive and everything is fine.
Solix insists. Your heart sinks. This isn't fine. Just because you didn't like the idea of dying and everything going on without you, that doesn't mean that you wanted everyone to suffer. You fed the ship to the void to stop all of that. I'm sorry that I put you through all of that. This wasn't what I wanted. I don't blame you for thinking I was dead. I wanted you to stop chasing me so Mind Fang and Mom wouldn't get you. I'm the one who destroyed the ship. I thought I was going to die. I knew that. I don't get to bitch about people dealing with it. You apologize.
Shut up.
Karkat sniffs and looks at you all teary-eyed.
It's not your fault that you were abducted. You did everything you could, and you were put in the worst position imaginable. No one should have to risk death like that to protect everyone they love.
That's what we do. The numb words kind of come out of your mouth on their own.
Yeah, well, please say my first attempt at treason for my notes on that. Dave, I'm so relieved that you're back, that you're alive. It feels like a miracle, and I wish I could...
Karkat seems to be physically holding himself back from you. My arms kinda... You warn him. We saw, Solix says, a pissed-off rumble in his tone. You can't kill my mom for it, I beat you to it, you say. I'll take second place. Solix shrugs, making you almost laugh. It's more of a breath than anything. You ease yourself a little bit closer to the pair of them, holding your breath as you do. Carefully, you lean against them both. You tuck your head under Solix's chin and warily pull Karkat against you. He's clearly not sure what to do with his hand that had been touching the side of Solix that you're on. The uncertainty of what he's going to do is starting to make you a little twitchy, and you hate that.
Is this okay? Whatever you want me to do, I'll do,
Karkat says quietly. The soft reassurance is alien enough to the violence that you've had lately. The obvious need for your agreement makes it different enough. Equius only did what you agreed to, but the medical exam still had to happen. That was out of your control enough that even Equius being gentle unsettled you. This is different. This doesn't have to happen, and they're both following your lead here. You reach around Karkat's arm and pull him closer, so you're more or less sandwiched between them. Actually, that would be easier, so you do that. You shift, putting your back to Solix's chest and dragging Karkat up against your front. Solix has his chin on top of your head, but you're a little too tall to do that when you're standing up straight, so he moves so his face is pressed against the side of yours. Karkat rests his head partly on Solix's shoulder and partly on yours. It leaves you the space to drape your arms over his shoulders so no one's going to touch them by mistake. Karkat's big, warm hand is bleeding heat through the side of your uniform. He's got it placed there ever so carefully, and you can tell that he's holding on to Solix with the other, because you can feel his wrist by your other hip. Solix has one hand on your ribs, and the other must be somewhere over with Karkat's on your other side. That's about as much contact as you can get without removing layers, and as you're in the hallway, that's definitely not happening. I thought I'd never see you two again. Right after I'd finally figured everything out, right after I was finally fixing things so I was happy. I got all that, and I lost it. I didn't think this would happen. You confess into Karkat's neck, as if no one seeing you say that absolves you somehow.
Nah, fuck that. I got my Dave back. I got two, actually.
Solix chirps, clearly pleased for obvious number-related reasons.
I'm done understanding things. Also, the guy seems confused as shit.
Karkat mumbles into your uniform. I'm also confused as shit, you admit. You luxuriate uselessly between your boyfriend and your partner for a bit. You've had the big thoughts and the hard conversations. Now you're allowed to enjoy this. Who knows when you're gonna get weird about contact or being trapped again, so enjoy it now. I was talking to Matuna earlier. I can do that now for some reason, you say after a bit.
Yeah, and everyone can see ghosts now. It's kind of chaos, and also not my problem.
Karkat agrees grumpily. Sure, I'm not doing shit. I quit. But, I love you two. So much it makes me stupid. I just don't know how weird I'm gonna be about... You can't finish the thought. It's in your head, but admitting it is hard.
I told you, whatever you want. However it works for you, and it doesn't matter if it's not linear. Just because you're okay with this right now doesn't mean you have to be in a minute from now. We don't want to hurt you or scare you, Karkat says, pulling back a little so he can look up at you. I know. I trust you. You tell him, even though that's not enough to make it magically work. Why were you talking to Matuna about it? Solix asks slowly, but you can hear that hint of amusement in his voice, like he knows. It came up, you say. It's not untrue. What reminded you? Solix continues, his chest shaking a little as he represses the laugh that's starting up. What do you mean, what reminded him? We were talking about what Dave is comfortable with.
Karkat says, leaning back even more to look at Solix as well now. As he moves, his hand unthinkingly slides from your side to your hip. You can see the moment that Karkat realizes that his touch has drifted, and he glances at you to see that you're okay with it. Except, you guess he sees Solix's expression too. You're still between the two of them, and with Karkat leaning back like this, your hands are almost touching behind his neck. You can actually feel the grin on Solix's face as Karkat catches that your current arrangement isn't an unfamiliar one, although, again, not in a hallway.
Right, of course. It's a conversation with Matuna. People can only get a certain number of words through any conversation with Matuna before the odds of it becoming not safe for work go astronomical. Fine, whatever. My position...
Karkat pauses as Solix snickers in amusement.
My position on your well-being going ahead of everything else still stands. Holy shit, Solix, shut up!
Solix says something as he laughs, but the movement makes one of his sharp and numerous canines scrape your skin, and by the time your body has processed sharp, out of nowhere and on my neck, you're several feet down the hallway, and Karkat's staggering to get his balance again. Both of them are scrambling to apologize, but they didn't do anything wrong. Fuck, this isn't going to be fun, and you're actually really mad about it! Damn. Damn. D-A-M-B, damn. Upside down smiley face. Well, folks, that is it for the night. On account of there ain't no more set lists. And also on account of there, even if there was, it wouldn't be this time because there weren't no songs. My voice is going. I should get ready to upload the VOD. Oh, big stretch. Big stretch. Yep. Yeah, let's... I didn't end up using SoundPad at all this time. I wonder when's the last time that happened. I wonder how many chapters I've not needed the funny... my funny Discord sounds. Yeah. I'm gonna fucking roll on out of here. Have a wonderful night, y'all. I'm gonna have to I'll see y'all tomorrow, because I have to go. I have to read tomorrow's chapter now. I always forget that. Yeah. Have a care. Take a good. And see you tomorrow.